All right, I'm just gonna say it. This is the most realistic VR gunstock I have ever laid my hands on. And it's not because it has some fancy schmancy haptic motors or anything like that, but that's because it looks legit. This is the Raven VR Gunstock version 4.2, and the creator was actually cool enough to send me one over a few weeks back. It actually arrived right after my son was born, so things have been a little crazy, but I finally got a chance to really sit down and put this thing through its paces. And man, I gotta say, this thing is interesting. It's built for pure hardcore realism. But the big question is, does all that realism actually make you better in a gunfight? Is it worth it? Let's break it down. The good, the bad, and the kind of one massive issue that might be a deal breaker for some of you. Right out of the box, you can just feel the quality. This thing is an absolute tank, but in a good way. The creator even customized it with my channel logo and name, which is an awesome touch, and I really appreciate it because it makes me feel like a big old VR YouTuber. Shout out to you, man. The first thing you'll notice is the weight. It got some serious heft to it, which feels incredible for immersion. And you're gonna hear that word a lot this whole video, immersion. Now, personally, I love a heavier gunstock, especially when I'm on my VR treadmill or just playing general VR games to kind of help with my aim. My aim is not the best, but it's not the worst, you know? But the point is, and this is key, it's not too heavy. I've pulled off some long sessions in Contractors Showdown without my arms feeling like noodles. Now, I was fighting a lot of scavs, but I also suck at extraction shooters, so I'm honestly not the best person to talk about PvP. But in terms of PvE and lining up shots, it hits the perfect sweet spot. Even the included sling with this gunstock isn't some cheap afterthought. It's a proper high quality tactical sling with multiple attachment points, so you can run it as a 1-point or a 2-point setup, really whatever you're into. Personally, old MartydudeVR likes a 1-point sling. It just feels better to me, and it's a lot more comfortable. Okay, so it feels great to hold and whatnot, but how does it play? I'll be honest, it genuinely feels like this VR gunstock was born for the tension of extraction shooters. So recently, after the big updates, I've been playing Contractors Showdown Exfil mode, and I feel like that's where the Raven gunstock really just comes alive. It would also do good for Ghost of Tabor, but honestly, I don't really play Ghost of Tabor that much. I don't hate the game or anything, it's just not my cup of tea. I also took it into OG Contractors, which is really Pavlov and Veil adjacent. And here's the thing, just make sure you pick the right gun to calibrate with this gunstock, and your aim will be really good, like extremely crisp. But I will be real with you, with those type of games where you're constantly running into enemies and you kind of need that aim down sight speed, the bulk of this rifle will slow you down just a little bit. And it will make it harder to fight against somebody who's purely using just like a really light Quest controller. So it's not really built for, I would say, performance in terms of I'm about to get a bunch of kills, unless you're really just swinging that thing around. And especially in OG Contractors, since the game has massively died off and there's nothing but really just sweaty Quest nerds left, especially as indicated by the Steam VR numbers. I've been getting belt to my ass constantly. I have been getting stuck on that game for the past few months. But honestly, that's just a skill issue. Basically, the point is, this gunstock isn't gonna make you like John Wick. It's fun, don't get me wrong. But in terms of just improving your ADS speed and stuff like that, this is more for stability and just honestly fun. And like I said earlier, this would help a lot with adjacent games like Pavlov, if that's more your speed. Now, Pavlov kind of fell off, not gonna lie, but that's gonna be a video for another day. But even with the gracious, and I mean oh so gracious whooping of my ass, I had a real blast using this in the game because of how realistic it feels. It's just something about that weight and authenticity that just makes firefights feel more intense for me. I feel like a real commando with this gun stock. Now, here's my personal preference. You can run it fully extended like a rifle and it's rock solid and even comes with a cheek rest. But I actually find myself playing with the stock folded a lot of the time. It makes aiming way faster, and some guns just kind of fit better. You don't have to go into the menus and readjust. You can kind of just manipulate it on the fly. And SMGs just feel incredibly snappy and really easy to control. The folding mechanism is also super smooth too, so switching from a long range rifle to a close quarter combat weapon is no problem at all. One thing I was actually worried about was the front hand not having a magnetic lock-in point, but it actually turned out to be one of the best things about this VR gun stock. Like, I was genuinely dead wrong. Being able to slide my hand along the barrel to find that perfect grip, or even put it on the mag itself and there actually being a place for that, makes this one of the best VR gun stocks, honestly, for like reloading and adjustments, and gives it a huge advantage over those fixed systems like Protube or even Skull VR in some cases. Resting your hand on the mag or switching to shotgun mode, which is really cool, is actually very elite. Now, I don't use shotguns a lot, to be honest with you, in a lot of my VR games. I just don't find them very comfortable, even without the gun stock. But having that option is awesome. But now we got to talk about details, because that's where you can tell the designer of this VR gun stock is a VR nerd and a gun nerd. In the best way possible though, because the attention to detail is actually very insane. You can pop out the fake magazine for just that extra bit of immersion when you're reloading, and there's also a whole mag you can use for different clip types. There's also a clever little spot to store a orange safety cap, so it looks safe when you have it on display, and somebody who has like kids or people over, they should know that there's not just a regular assault rifle just hanging out in your room in the open, especially when you got kids and stuff like that. Just parent things. It's even got a hex tool built into it for quick adjustments, extra screws. Oh, and for you haptic fans, people who have maybe a Protube adapter, there's also an add-on you can buy for the Protube Forcetube. And honestly, just my luck, my Forcetube isn't actually working right now, but I should have some B-roll of the creator actually putting his on there. So it is confirmed that it does work. And there's also two variations of it for the Explorer and the other Forcetube that I can't think of right now. But the option is there, which I do like. I would love to see a haptic version of this rifle down the line though. That would be amazing. And we've seen stuff like that, especially with like HigVR and their, haptic gun stock. It looks very realistic. But this one, for this price point of about 160 to maybe 200 if you get the real customized one, is actually pretty good. And maybe with the haptic adjustments, it'll probably be like 250, 300, which is a pretty good deal for that level of realism. But with all that being said, this VR gun stock isn't perfect. Now let's get into the stuff that drove me just a little bit of crazy. Switching from your rifle to your pistol is a different story. Getting the controller out of the mount is a bit fiddly, but getting it back in, especially when you're getting shot at, is kind of a nightmare. You have to look down. I literally have to stop, look down, and really focus on lining it up, or just start trying to jam it in there and hope the magnet catches. And by that point, you're usually back in the lobby if you're playing extraction shooter, or you're probably dead if you're playing OG Contractors. Now, the top of the gun does have a slider that you can pull back to easily unmount it, and I do like that because it honestly makes you feel really cool taking the pistol out. But I will say, if you don't pull it out, and you can pull it out and lock it so you don't have to do it every time, well, I just didn't find the system just that great. Now, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it's not intuitive for kind of fast gameplay. But I will say, with general weapons, weapon switching is really easy, especially in OG Contractors. Like if I switch from a rifle to an SMG, all I literally had to do was, probably whenever I died and switched weapons, just take a moment to flip the gun stock, and it literally was good to go. But honestly, and to be quite frank, that's not the biggest problem with this gun stock. This next part is going to be a real deal breaker for a lot of you guys, and it comes all down to controller tracking. Let's get this out the way. If you're using a Valve controller, you're good. tracking is flawless, perfect, a 10 out of 10. The open design doesn't mess with the lighthouse sensors or anything like that, really at all. However, if you're a Meta Quest user, I got some bad news for you, my boy. The tracking is, I'm not exaggerating, pretty unusable. The controller mounts completely block the inside-out tracking cameras on the headset. It's genuinely a kind of constant, floaty, drifty kind of mess. And it just doesn't work that well. So for all my Quest friends watching, as much as it pains me to say, I can't recommend it to you guys, not in its current state. Now, I did try it with the Quest 3 controllers. Maybe it's different with the Quest Pro controllers, but I literally have to find my Quest Pro controllers and that's not happening. All right, so with all that being said, where does that leave us? How do we feel about the Raven V4? Look, the Raven V4 is a brilliant piece of gear for a specific person. If you're a Valve Index controller user, you live for realism, and you play tactical shooters like Ghost of Tabor, Contractors, or even like playing Veil, Pavlov, or OG Contractors, this might be one of the best gun stocks you can get, period. The build quality and immersion, this attention to detail, is kind of unmatched for the price and for the niche. But for a more mainstream, pure performance type of player, and especially for any Quest user, the awkward pistol switching and the broken tracking on Quest may make it an impossible recommendation for you. I feel like there's better gun stocks for competitive use out there, especially like Skull VR and even some of the Protube ones. Personally, in the future, I would love to see more versions of this gun stock that maybe sacrifices a little bit of that realism for more competitive use, and something that's just quicker in game, and most importantly, really works for everyone. Some people buy gun stocks literally to compete, and I couldn't recommend this gun stock for any of those people. But if you're somebody who genuinely likes to have fun in shooters, doesn't mind a little bit of a heavier stock, this is perfect. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This review helped me out. Do me a solid. I do have a link in the description below if you want to get one, and I should have a coupon code down below. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more VR content from your boy. Thanks for watching the video, and remember, I'm just a dude with a VR headset and a lot of gun stocks. Peace.